Can you make sure that that little ring doesn't happen? Thank you. Thank you. Are there any apologies for absence? I don't believe so. And are there any declarations of interest? No. And can I take the minutes of the leadership team meeting held on the 7th of December as a true and accurate record? Agreed. I'll send it in motion. Actually, no time when I sign it now, because otherwise I might forget. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing we have on the agenda is the Council's contribution to the London Borough's grant scheme 23-24. So, Lisa. So I think what we've been asked to do is review the overall level of expenditure for London Council's grant scheme and to agree what our contribution should be.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? What questions are there? Catherine and then Josh.
I just had one question, which is, do we have any idea about how much of that 6 million is actually comes back into this borough to some of our organisations and BPSC, voluntary organisations?
I don't know that here, but I can ask that question and find out.
Hold on. Josh and then Sophie.
Thank you, for that, Lisa. Just for my own personal benefit, obviously approving grant for London Council, but do we take similar decisions on this regarding LGA funding or anything like that, or is this a specific example for using London Council, especially for this grant pot rather than any others? So just around that kind of governance arrangement.
Yeah, so London Council asked that specifically councils have this discussion through their decision-making process, and our decision-making process, timing-wise, enables it to come to a leadership meeting. In the past, sometimes it's been taken as an urgent decision by the leader, but we've got time, we need to respond by Friday.
I see, sure, no, that's helpful, thank you.
And so.
Yeah, I just want to give a little bit more information about this because although it comes under Lisa financially, it also comes under communities. And I think it's rather a great way of looking at some of the pan-London problems. You know, London problems don't stop at borough boundaries. And so this is a good way for collaborative working. And in terms of Councillor Folk's question about kind of value for money back, we do get, I was looking at the figures today on the latest reports, we do get the equivalent of about 2% back of all the London. So our percentage of the money we get for 2%, so that's about what we contribute anyway. And the recent one has been focusing on two areas, which I think are really close to our heart as well as Council. One on homelessness, combating homelessness, and the other big tranche is tackling sexual and domestic violence. So I think both of those are areas that we as a council are very interested in as well. So I think it is good. And they only have I think 2.5 full-time members of staff overseeing a 6 million budget. So I think it's quite efficient.
Are there any other comments, any other questions? No. Okay, can we agree that, please, then? The recommendations in paragraph 2.
Agreed.
Well, we have 2 further papers tonight, both of which have exempt agendas. And so what I suggest we do is that we go next door and we discuss them in private, and then we will come back into this room to debate anything that we didn't say in the public arena and decide whether or not to take the decisions. So could I ask the leadership team, please, just to come next door to committee room 2, and the following officers: Dan, Doug, Levan, Maxine, Toyin, David, Lisa. And then, as chair of the LSC, if you wish to be part of the private proceedings, you wish to ask questions. the recording working? Okay, can we please look at paper A5, it's actually state refurbishment work. And we haven't sort of class and in private session and have actually asked quite a lot of questions about it, but there are still questions that you may wish to ask in public. So, over to you, Kim.
Well, if I may, just in terms of saying a few things, just in terms of context of this report, obviously it's a large amount of money, but I mean, the Silchester estate is part of our refurbishment programme of all of our homes, but the Silchester estate incorporates 4 concrete blocks, which were constructed in the 1960s, and these are incredibly expensive to maintain. And previously, the previous administration looked at this estate on the basis of regeneration, given the huge cost. But obviously, this council, gave a commitment, having listened to residents, that regeneration was not going to be an option and it should be repaired. And I think that is the right decision. I think it's one, obviously, we very much all support. So, as a result of this commitment, we've been working since 2019 with the residents in terms of looking at how these buildings are going to be refurbished and planned and that. And this paper that we've got today is really a culmination of all of that. And but we've got to accept this is going to be incredibly costly. You see the figure, it's in the paper, it's 46 million, including VAT. And so it's a decision we're not going to take lightly. And we obviously have a duty to our 285 tenants and 35 leaseholders to provide safe homes as far as this is concerned. So, I mean, we work very hard to ensure we're getting this at a competitive price. We've got a dedicated team of people obviously going to monitor the contract. But I think I really want to end by just recognising that we have to accept that the leaseholders who contribute to the cost of the works in these blocks are going to be facing a very, very large bill. And specifically to those blocks, we have 11 leaseholders. And so we're particularly acute, particularly in the circumstances we're at the moment. This is going to give a hardship to people, and the bills are going to be extremely painful. So although we have an obligation to recover the costs on all of our refurbishments for leaseholders, it is something we're very mindful as how we might support the leaseholders. And within the paper, you'll see there's talks about long-term repayment plans and possibly ability of building back. But really, to just end to say that this project is a very important step on our journey of ensuring that all of our residents live in safe, decent homes and ensuring that our houses are fit for occupation. Thank you.
Great. Any questions?
Just a point of clarity, I thought I read there were 35 leaseholders and you said there were 11.
There's 11
11
related.
resident leaseholders, 35 leaseholders altogether.
Oh, I see. Yeah, 11 who actually
Yes, that's correct.
live there.
Yeah.
Got you. And you, so therefore more impacted than. But the issue is the same for all of them in terms of the cost. Yes. Got you.
It's actually, it's a huge contract, isn't it? And it's a huge step on our way to provide safe and
Absolutely,
decent homes.
absolutely.
So, although it's going to be quite a challenge over the next few years, and especially challenging for people who are living within the blocks as the refurbishment takes place, it's definitely something that we should do, and we should be proud that we're doing it.
Definitely.
We set up a dedicated team to manage this contract. It is not something we're going to do lightly. We spent a lot of time working with residents at Silchester, and you can see that from the scope
Yes,
and how the
huge
scope has
amounts of
evolved.
consultation.
We're mindful of its situation within Nottingham in terms of its adjacence to Lancaster. So we are putting in new kitchens and bathrooms, as well as doing concrete works in windows and rooms and everything else that needs to be replaced beyond its lifespan. So we are likely to have this as one of our key areas of priority over the next few years.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly necessary, isn't it? We've got all of them.
So we've got a
Just
fan
have
at the moment around the bottom
Yeah.
that collects the odd bit that's coming out. So we need to get on with the works.
Yes. So, if there are no other...
Actually, I just wanted to thank Doug and his team because I know, and Kim, this is actually
Yeah.
years of
Yes.
of work here and a vast amount of consultation and thought, and it's taken a lot of work to get here, and yes, it is a lot of money, but we do have to do it and it's important. So, yeah, just want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, can we accept the recommendations on paragraph 2, please? All agree, and please note that we did agree the budget set out in part B of the report and not part B meeting. Thank you. Now we come on to the settlement of civil claims, which we have also discussed in a private session. And I think I should start by saying throughout this whole process, our officers have done their absolute utmost to make sure that we were doing right by the families involved. I think that was our main thing, to do things properly and in such a way that we were on the families' sides. And that also involves, making sure what is in the public domain and what is in the private domain at this point is that we've actually discussed it with them. And whatever we discuss this evening in a public session doesn't put any global settlement at risk. I think that's really our first priority tonight. Neither it puts the global settlement at risk, nor in fact does it lead to any concerns about people's individual privacy and security for them and for their families. I think that really is of the utmost importance. So tonight, really, in this session of the leadership team, is about making sure that the council's got the necessary mechanisms and that the funding can be in place should a deal be formally agreed. So we just want to be in the position that if a deal is agreed, that we have the funding available that we can move swiftly. All of the finances and numbers, etc., will of course be available. Also, they'll be available later in the year, and as always, it will be completely transparent about it in our budgeting process. So it's not a question of us hiding anything, but just at this moment, we just need to be aware of the sensitivities involved, and therefore the only things that I'm going to ask you to agree to in a minute, once you've asked any questions, is really to approve the council entering into a global settlement, as described in the appendix that you have all seen. Approve the council entering into an apportionment agreement, and again, as was set out in the appendix that you have all seen, and delegate the authority to the chief exec, following consultation with me and following advice from the monitoring officer and the executive director of resources to agree the final and detailed sign-offs of the terms, A, of the global settlement, and B, the part that we play in it. And then finally, I think the fourth thing that we want approval from tonight is to give approval to the executive director of resources to seek a capitalisation directive for the council from the Secretary of State in DLUC to help cover the costs of some of the claims. Obviously, we will try and recover them back in the first instance, but the balance, we will need to seek a capitalisation directive. Is there anything I have omitted to say? I don't think so. And we have discussed it in private session. Is there anything that you'd like, any more clarifications in this public session, with a mind to the sensitivities that I've already outlined? Thank you. Can we please then take the recommendations in paragraph 2 and agree them, please?
Agreed.
Thank you. Now, I don't believe there's any other business this evening. So if there is no other business, I'd like to declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much. Thank you. You need to be aware still of our forest of microphones and our new jazzy or singing and dancing.